sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
Tragedy, disbelief, resilience. Words that come to mind when we think back on the terrorist attacks of September the 11th, 2001. 9/11, a day that reduced a nation to stunned silence and shut down Major League Baseball. But it was America's national pastime, which helped the healing process begin. Nowhere was it more evident than in New York City, where a Mike Piazza game-winning home run brought joy to a city swallowed by grief. Today, we remember as the Indians host the Royals, next on Sports Time Ohio. On this September the 11th, we welcome you into downtown Cleveland's Progressive Field, where today the Tribe will look to make it 2 out of 3 against the Kansas City Royals as they wrap up this homestand. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Tribe would benefit greatly from a win today. Not only would it give them a series win, but it gives them a little momentum as they head out on the road to Chicago. And, Rick, they're looking for a big-time performance from Scott Kazmir, but he's up against big-game James Shields of Kansas City.
Well, with a win today, it would be a very good homestand, but James Shields are going to have to beat a tough customer. He is 8-3 on the road this year with a league-best ERA, so he pitches very well away from Kauffman Stadium. You know, this will be his fourth start against the Indians, 10-9 on the year, but the Indians have had success against him. Going up against lefty Scott Kazmir, who is 6-1 in this ballpark this year. And Scotty, over his last 3 starts, he has struck out 24. He has walked only 3. So hopefully he brings that to the table today. He can give Terry Francona a little distance in this ball game. Take the series. We can go out on the road. This is going to be a big ball game for both ball clubs today.
Yeah, really a big swing game here today for both clubs. And the Royals have their right-handed hitting lineup in there against the lefty Scott Kazmir. Michael Brantley and the Tribe trying to put a little distance between themselves and the Kansas City Royals, who gained ground last night. The Indians didn't lose any, though, because Tampa Bay and Baltimore both went down to defeat. The play-by-play action is next. Welcome into Progressive Field. Sun breaking through the clouds on another warm afternoon as the Indians and Royals wrap things up. They've split the first two, and now the Indians, who have gone 10-3 in a rubber game of a series, they're 5-1 at home, and a chance to keep on that roll today with Scott Kazmir on the hill. Let's take a look at Ned Yost's starting 9 for the Royals here today. Alex Gordon will lead it off. Emilio Bonifacio bats second. Eric Hosmer will hit third. Billy Butler batting cleanup. Salvador Perez, 4 for 9 in the series, will hit fifth. Justin Maxwell gets his first action batting sixth. Lorenzo Cain seventh. Jamie Carroll gets his first start batting eighth. And Alcides Escobar will hit ninth.
Scott Kazmir on the mound, start number 26 for him. He's 8-7, and he's been pitching very well. In his last 3 starts, he's 1-1 with a 2.65 ERA. He has 24 strikeouts, 3 walks in those 3 starts, so he's been dealing, and he's 1-1 this year against Kansas City in 3 starts. Let's check out the Kia Indians defense behind Kazmir this afternoon. It looks like this. Brantley on left, Bourne in center, Stubbs is in right, Chisenhall at third, Aviles at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first, Gomes again back behind the plate.
Mike Estabrook calling the balls and strikes. Paul Nauert is at first. Doug Eddings at second. The crew chief, Dana DeMuth, down at third. As the games dwindle down, each becomes increasingly more important. And this one is vitally important for both the Indians and the Royals. Alex Gordon steps in. Scott Kazmir delivers, and Gordon drills it to deep right field. That's well over Stubbs' head, and it is gone. 1 pitch, 1 run, 1-0 Kansas City.
Yeah, he wasn't going to spot Kazmir a fastball. He jumped all over it, and I mean, he hit it right on the nose. His 19th home run, the 19th that Kazmir has given up. Watch the location, fastball for strike 1, and it's going to leave the park.
It was a low heater, and Gordon went down. And
it's only the 3rd home run he's given up to a left-hander this year.
First ball swinging, Emilio Bonifacio fouls it back out of play. Get an idea of the Royals' game plan. Look early in the count and attack. It's the 13th time that Alex Gordon in his career has led off a game with a home run. Now the 0-2 down in the dirt. The Indians and the Orioles begin the day tied a game and a half behind Tampa in that wild card race. New York a half game back of the Indians and O's. And Kansas City a game and a half behind Cleveland and Baltimore. Down in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So Alex Gordon, 4 hits in the series, and 2 of them have left the yard. 2-run homer in the series opener that got the Royals to within a run. And now a leadoff homer here today. Bonifacio lines it toward right field. Stubbs comes in, can't make the play, and it skips by him. Bonifacio can run. He's going to go all the way to third base, and the Royals are off and running here early. A triple for Bonifacio.
Well, I didn't see Drew get the jump, but that ball goes right under his glove. He wasn't able to knock it down. And that's what you want to do. At least keep it in front of you. Watch, this ball is just a little short. He's about a foot short on that ball. It gets by him. And the way Bonifacio can run, it'll go as a triple. His 3rd this year, so they've homered and they've tripled in their first 2 at-bats.
Now Eric Hosmer, 3 for 8 in the series. He smokes a single to center field. It's 2-0 Kansas City. And Kazmir yet to retire a batter. They are jumping on him early. That's the second first pitch put in play. They've swung at all 3 of his first pitches in the game.
Well, they know. He's a first ball fastball pitcher, so they're going to get after it. Even though that one was inside, he gets enough of it to get it over the infield, and the two left-handers jumped on that heater early, and both being successful. So it's 2-0, and he's yet to retire a hitter.
Now Billy Butler, he takes, and it's an off-speed pitch for strike one.
That'll make you change your pattern in a hurry. You know, you throw that first pitch fastball and they do a little bit of damage, you're going to have to start using everything.
Butler a swing and a miss, and the count 0-2. Eric Hosmer, 75 runs batted in now on the year. Butler lines it foul.
And that's usually what you have to do to Scott Kazmir, is get him in those first 3 innings, because his ERA is up about 5. Just a little bit over in innings 1 through 3, and they're doing it today. First inning.
Foul third base side. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
You can see that in the middle part of the ball game, he really settles in, but you got to get to him early and then get to him after that 6th inning. He's thrown 11 pitches. Kansas City has swung at 8 of them.
They finally swung and missed. 1 down here in the first.
There's a changeup. You don't see Butler take many swings like that, so that pitch right there fooled him. So Kazmir gets the first out on a strikeout.
Up comes Salvador Perez. He's had a good series, going 4 for 9. Takes inside, ball 1. Perez has hit in 3 straight games, 5 out of 12. Popped in the air to right field. Stubbs is under it. 2 down. Our keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. For Kazmir, the Indians want to see him pitch inside effectively. And for James Shields, the Indians want to try to get that pitch count up. Shields has been very good on the road this year. We'll see how he fares today. His 3rd start of the season at Progressive Field. Up comes Justin Maxwell. We saw Maxwell early in the season when he was playing for the Houston Astros. Swung on and missed.
Yeah, they're swinging. They are hacking. Because coming into today, opposition, when they swing at the first pitch and put it in play off Scott Kazmir, they were hitting .275 with a couple homers. Well, you can add a home run and a single to that number.
0-2. Kazmir delivers, and Maxwell fouls it back out of play. Maxwell, a big kid at 6'5", 225 pounds. Product of Maryland. Was a 4th-round pick out of Maryland by the Washington Nationals back in 2005. Hosmer driven back to first with 2 down. Maxwell has swung the bat much better since coming over to Kansas City. He hit .256 this year for Houston. And in his 24 games with Kansas City, he's batted .288.
Well, Bonifacio was one of those guys that you bring him over and he does better after the trade.
Well, he hit 6 homers, drove in 20 for Houston. I should beg your pardon. He hit 2 homers for Houston. He's already hit 4 for Kansas City in 1/3 of the games.
Yeah, is he just playing against left-handers probably?
The 1-2. A little bit outside.
Ooh. Those guys are walking off the field. You had both Kazmir and Gomes walking to the dugout. And now Gomes is going to talk to the umpire and say, what are you doing? I mean, that pitch is right there. Watch them both. Here comes Kazmir. Here comes Gomes. Ball. They couldn't believe it.
The 2-2. And he chops it foul. You have to hope that he just missed that, because if that's how small the zone's going to be.
Well, it was close. We'll see with when Shields gets out there. We'll see. That pitch was on the outside part of the plate. Remember now, to a right-hander. We'll have to remember that part of the zone.
Well, all of a sudden, this will be an 8-pitch at bat at least for Maxwell coming up here.
Yeah. Sometimes you get that extra strike, and it makes that pitcher work that much harder.
Oh, we talked to, who was it, Chad OJ just the other night about that.
Right.
When you throw a pitch and you know it's a strike. Maxwell off the end of the bat. Floats it into left field for a base hit. Well, he should have been out of the inning, but now he's going to have to continue to work hard.
Well, look at this changeup on our Nissan pitch tracker. It's elevated. I mean, he had him out in front, but it was up. So he was able to at least hit it off the end of the bat. It wasn't hit that hard. If it's down, he swings and misses. But he thought he had him earlier in the at-bat, had to grind his way through it. They get another hit. That's 4 hits in the inning, and he's going to have to work very hard to get out of it. Still first and second, now 2 outs.
Well, Lorenzo Cain comes up here 1 for 3 in the series. Two already in for the Royals, 2 down, 2 aboard. Not a good start. Kazmir hoping to avoid any further damage now. Spun him around. Ball 1. And there's a base hit into center field. Bourne will play it on a hop. Coming around third, Hosmer will score. And it's 3-0 Kansas City. So the Royals got an extra strike, and boy, have they taken advantage of it.
A couple of hits with 2 outs now, and he just drops this one in front of Michael Bourne, who he will have no chance at home, so you just get it into the infield. But 5 hits in the inning, 3 runs.
Already the Indians' bullpen is getting busy. Kazmir about to make his 25th pitch of the inning. Jamie Carroll takes a strike. Jamie Carroll came over from Minnesota. Runners go, throw to third. Nice pick by Chisenhall. Otherwise, that's another run.
Well, and they had a good jump off Kazmir. He was just, he's concentrating on throwing strikes to get through this inning. And they both had great jumps, and they can tell he's trying to get that last out. So Gomes trying to get rid of it in a hurry. Short hops. I mean, you're right. Very good pick by Chisenhall.
Royals had the lead, and they're keeping the pressure on.
Oh, now they will.
Carroll down on the count 0-2. And shot it foul over the first base coach's head, Rusty Kuntz. Jamie Carroll has had a lot of success against Kazmir. Popped him up on the infield. Kipnis calls for it, and he makes the catch. The inning is over, but the Royals sent 8 men to the plate. They score 3 times, and they've got the big early lead. Three 3-0 Kansas City as the Indians come to bat for the first time today. Tribe starting 9 brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Michael Bourne, Mike Aviles, Jason Kipnis, then Santana, Brantley, and Gomes, Jason Kubel, Lonnie Chisenhall, Drew Stubbs.
James Shields on the mound. Boy, he was really roughed up in his last start against Detroit in 3 2/3 innings. Gave up 14 hits and 10 earned runs. So he's going to come back for a little redemption, and his offense certainly helped him. They gave him a 3-run lead in the top half of the first. This will be his 4th start against the Indians this year.
Michael Bourne looks at ball 1. Bourne 1 for 8 in this series. That one hit, a 2-run double. And he bloops one into left field. The Indians had their leadoff man aboard here in the first.
Let's check out Kansas City's defense behind Shields. It's Gordon in left, Kane is in center, Maxwell in right. Carroll and Escobar on the left side of the infield, Bonifacio and Hosmer on the right, with Perez behind the dish.
Up comes Mike Aviles. His first action in the series against his old club. He's had good success in his career against Shields, batting .370 lifetime. And it's a called strike inside. 10 for 27, couple of homers. He's in there for his Drupal Cabrera this afternoon. Hit him.
Ouch.
Breaking ball, and it never broke.
You know what? That's a good one to get hit by if you have to get hit. Hit that breaking ball. Vilas takes it. Now the Indians with a start to their first and second, and nobody out. You're right. The breaking ball, Matt, it just slips, gets away from him, catches him on the elbow there, that padding. So he'll take first base.
Salvador Perez going to go out for a chat with Shields. You don't necessarily have to get it all back at once, but boy, would it be nice to steal back at least some of the momentum here.
Just respond. I mean, there's plenty of game left. Bottom of the first time they come to the plate. Always nice when a team scores and you're at home to come back and take a little bit of that momentum away because they're trying to make a statement here in the first. Kansas City ending a drought where they were gone 44 games in 44 days. They'll be off tomorrow.
Jason Kipnis, it's a called first pitch strike. He thought it was low. Kipnis just one hit in the series. Pulls it foul. It's 0-2. On the homestand, Kipnis 7 out of 27, and he has scored 8 runs. That's low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Shields delivers. Kipnis pulls it. Slowly bounced to second. Bonifacio will throw him out 1 away. Bourne to third. Aviles down to second. Our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. With that out, James Shields has now gone 7 consecutive seasons pitching 200 innings or more. And he leads the American League with his 200 innings of work.
Big reason why Kansas City wanted to trade for a guy like that, somebody that could set up your rotation, go out there and be the workhorse. Wins and losses, they certainly count, but so does, depends on what kind of run support. But this guy goes out there for 7 innings pretty much every game.
And year in and year out, he's never been on the DL.
Right, he's solid.
The only thing I could find was a little shoulder tendonitis when he was in the minor leagues early in his career. Other than that, he's just been that prototypical workhorse type of a guy.
Well, he takes pride in going out there. And he's one guy that wants to finish what he starts. But when you have a bullpen like Kansas City has, you give a Ned Yost 7, he'll say thank you very much every time out.
Santana looking to improve on that. The 1-1. Down on the dirt. 2 balls and a strike.
He's got a good changeup. He's got a good breaking ball to go with his fastball. His changeup's around 87, 88. He'll throw any pitch at any time. He has pitched a lot of games in the Central this year. 17 starts so far, not including this one. He's 5-4 with an ERA of 4. This will be his 4th start against the Indians. He does not have a decision and an ERA that's right around normal. It's 4.96, a little higher. But he has the league's best ERA on the road. The Indians have a chance to do a little damage to that here.
2-1 count. Shields sets. And it's outside, 3 balls and a strike.
Good patience by Santana.
The entire left side of the infield is wide open. They've got 3 on the right side. Carroll holding Bourne close at third. So if Santana hits one to the left of the mound, it's a surefire hit.
Well, they're trying to get him to roll over on a changeup. He's throwing him a lot of changeup in this at-bat, but Santana's had very good patience. Get the ball up a little bit. Get yourself a fastball.
3-1. Popped him up on the infield. Boy, oh boy, on a 3-1 pitch.
Shields doesn't give in. I mean, that was a changeup. He just stayed right there with his pitch.
With more on the guy they call Big Game James Shields, here's Katie with him.
Well, Matt, I spoke with Kelly Shopik, who used to be James Shields' catcher in Tampa Bay, and he said his changeup is so good because it's effective against righties and lefties, but it's actually more of a split finger. When his changeup is going good, it goes straight down. Really, the only approach you can have against him is to wait because he's going to give you something good to hit, so be disciplined enough not to chase those breaking balls and make him throw the fastball.
Well, Santana was in a position right there, but he got after that changeup. He didn't give in 3-1 and throw the fastball. Got him to pop up.
Brantley takes a fastball for a strike.
And that's the one thing about good pitchers. He had first base open anyway. They will never give in no matter what the count, and it doesn't matter the situation.
Shields earned the moniker Big Game James when he was in the minor leagues in Tampa Bay's system while pitching for Durham during a late season surge for a playoff berth. He was on the mound for a number of key games and key wins. The 0-1 pitch. Right back up the middle. It's through. Bourne will score. On his heels comes Aviles. Michael Brantley. Who else delivers in the clutch?
That's a huge hit right there for the Tribe, and it doesn't surprise you. It comes off the bat of Brantley. He is about as clutch as you can get. And that's a huge 2-out base hit. This will be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. Because now you respond. You pick up Santana for popping out, and he goes right back up the middle, much like he did last night with 2 outs. Right back up the middle to deliver 2 runs, so they answer. It's a 3-2 ball game. Big hit for Brantley.
Well, Michael Brantley with 62 runs batted in on the year. 37 hits and 103 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Almost a .360 average. And you saw the numbers there doing it with 2 outs. So effective. Fouled back out of play now by Yan Gomes. Gomes in the series 2 for 7 with a home run. Boy, that was big for the Indians to come back and answer here in the bottom of the first to cut it to a 1-run game. Certainly has to make Scott Kazmir feel a lot better about things.
Now he has to go out and settle in. That's right.
Threw that one in the dirt. I'm not sure Hosmer got it or if it got Brantley. But it was definitely a low screamer. Kazmir will try to make the adjustment when he comes back out here for the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Remember, James Shields' ERA on the road is just 2.11, and the Indians have already put up 2 here in the first. But if you're going to get him, normally it's early in the game. Up and away.
Well, right-handers are hitting better off Shields than lefties. Righties coming in with a .280 batting average, and lefties just .242.
You think that's fairly normal for a guy who's a heavy changeup or a guy who relies on the changeup?
Probably the changeup goes down and the way to the left-handers makes it a little more effective. But, you know, as Katie said with Shopik, he can get right-handers out with that changeup too, and he throws it.
Right field, Maxwell makes the catch. The Indians respond. Michael Brantley's 2-out, 2-run single cuts the gap to a run after 1 inning of play. Indians baseball is brought to you by McDonald's, now introducing 3 exciting new Quarter Pounders, and by Kia. A fast start here today at Progressive Field, and our research staff fast at work as well. Mike Pachta tells us from the control room that for the Kansas City Royals, today was only the second time in their history that they led off a game with a home run and then a triple. The first time was 2 years ago. Gordon hit the homer. Melky Cabrera followed him with a triple.
Okay.
1-0 pitch, chopped towards third. Chisenhall waits back on it. Sets and throws. 1 away. That leads us to our AT&T Rewind, and this is how the first inning started. Alex Gordon, first pitch of the game, goes down and blasted to get out of here for the home run, his 19th of the year. Then Bonifacio tripled just under the glove of Drew Stubbs. And then 3 hits, 2 of them coming after 2 were out.
Yeah, they didn't mess around, boy. They got after it, and they got after it early. Kazmir threw 28 pitches in the first inning, 17 swings by Kansas City. So they were being aggressive that first time through.
Not to be outdone, Tom Boschenek did a little research as well.
Of course, the topper. The Teflon topper.
Teflon topper, I love it. The Indians had not allowed a first inning run on this homestand before today. In fact, no runs allowed in their previous 18 games in the first inning.
Good note, Teflon.
1 ball, 2 strikes. You better have your head on a swivel. He might clunk you with a Teflon frying pan.
No, I feel a knife going right in my back. He can get rid of me after today anyway.
Gordon breaks his bat, and Aviles takes care of it, 2 down.
Well, the video game that puts you in the owner's suite is now available free on iPhone and iPad. Build your stadium and make the decisions to guide your team to the World Series. Download MLB Ballpark Empire today.
Emilio Bonifacio. Down and in, ball 1. Game time temperature was 87 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised though if it's already spiked above that. Now that the cloud cover's starting to burn off, that sun shining brightly. It was very warm yesterday. Yesterday was our warmest game time start of the home portion of the season. The only game the Indians have started this year that was hotter was down in Texas. Now the 1-1. Called a strike. Kazmir gets ahead. Missed outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now the 2-2. Another blooper. Right field. Out goes Kipnis. A nice over-the-shoulder running catch. And the Royals go 1-2-3. So Scott Kazmir bounces back, sets him down in order. 3-2 KC, middle of the second. Three-2 Kansas City on top as we go to the bottom of the second. We'll see if the Indians can pick up where they left off in the first, scoring a couple of runs off James Shields. Bottom third of the Tribe order due up here. Jason Kubel, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Drew Stubbs. Fastball threw it by him, 93 miles an hour. In for a strike, it's 0-2. Check to swing, fouls it off. And he strikes him out. That's the first strikeout for Shields. One down here in the second inning. Our stat of the game brought to you by your Northern Ohio Buick dealers. Through 145 games, Kansas City sitting at 76-69. First time over the 500 mark this late in the year since 2003. 1988, they were 77-68 at this point. So
that was Tony Pena's year in 03, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe it was. That was a team that, they were flirting, with a potential run at the postseason in the first half through the All-Star break. That team, though, and I don't recall, Rick, exactly if it was free agent defections, trades, but they just looked like they were on the upswing, and they just fell off the face of the earth right after that. But Ned Yost has this club in the hunt, and it's interesting, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. Chisenhall lines it into the glove of Hosmer, who holds on. Does he? Yes, he does.
Yeah, he snow-coned it.
The only thing I was wondering is perhaps did he trap the ball against the ground when it was still in his glove, but
no, those first baseman's gloves very long, and he showed the umpire great play. He gets up. That ball was hammered. Look at that's by him, and it just stays right there in the webbing. Didn't move. It stuck. It was hit so hard. Look at half of that ball is sitting out of the glove. Good play.
Sure was. You know, we heard whispers around the middle of the season that perhaps Ned Yost's job was in trouble, that, you know, maybe he was on the way out, maybe he was going to be fired. Next thing you know, Kansas City put the hammer down.
They were struggling is what was happening, and then they turned it around. I mean, he's a patient guy. He's not going to, you know, he doesn't get very emotional or anything like that, and they're fiery. I mean, he'll argue and do what he has to do. But they turned it around. They started playing a little bit. Some guys picked it up. Hosmer started getting it offensively.
Bounce to short. Escobar sets and throws, and the Indians are gone 1-2-3. 2 complete. Kansas City 3, Cleveland 2. Back here at Progressive Field, where the Kansas City Royals scored 3 in the first. Indians came back with 2 in the bottom half. Both teams went 1-2-3 in the second. And now here in the third, Eric Hosmer will lead off for Kansas City. Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Hosmer, as a left-handed hitter, is batting .324 against left-handed pitching. That's among the league leaders. I don't know if you see anything in Hosmer's swing that makes him a better fit against lefties, or at least not as susceptible against left-handed pitching.
He's got a wide stance. He's off the plate. He uses the whole field. He doesn't try and pull the ball.
Full count.
So you stay in there on breaking balls. You concentrate a little bit more on lefties going up the middle and the other way. That's just a quality pitch right there by Kazmir.
Popped him up. Nice change of pace by Kazmir. And Michael Brantley has it, 1 away. Here's today's AT&T trivia question. Since 1901, 4 players have had a hitting streak of 40 or more games. Who are those 4 players? Swung on and missed. Down in the dirt. Wow. Scott Kazmir looks like a different pitcher since that first inning. He's retired 6 in a row.
Well, and he has 2 strikeouts. Both of them have been Billy Butler, and both of them coming on the changeup. He's made 2 really good pitches to Butler today.
Salvador Perez flied to right his first time up. High and foul and out of play. Now the 1-2. Ripped down the line, but foul. Two balls and 2 strikes.
Oh, stay fair.
No, it dribbles foul.
Yeah, he off the end of the bat, had too much spin to it. It went out into fair territory, and then it spins its way foul. Right off the end of the bat. There it is. There it goes.
Kazmir's 2-2. Sky high pop. Right fielder Drew Stubbs settles under it. And the Royals go 1-2-3 again. Kazmir set down 7 straight. Just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom of the third, top of the order for Cleveland here. Michael Bourne, Mike Aviles, and Jason Kipnis coming up. Fastball strike in the outside corner.
Got to send along a special birthday wish today. Deanie Murphy. Uh-oh. Great clips. Here we go. He got me on Mom's birthday.
Michael Bourne has been very good batting with runners in scoring position on the year. Last night, no exception. He's hit .305, and that was a key hit, though the Indians weren't able to come all the way back. Go ahead with that very special birthday announcement. It was interrupted by her own son.
No kidding. Well, we'll have to wait for the proper time now.
One down here in the bottom of the third. Second strikeout for James Shields.
Now, Deanie, we would love to wish you a happy birthday. And her son Jim is our producer, and I know he sent you a bunch of flowers, but you can see his timing is terrible. As we try to wish you a happy birthday, we hope you have a nice day. Enjoy out in Louisville.
Down Lowville. Mike Aviles, high fly ball, deep left field. Back is Gordon, looking up into the sun. Now he gives way to Lorenzo Cain, 2 down. Does the mailman still carry the mail in Louisville on Mom's birthday?
Postman.
Does he take the day off?
No, postman always rings twice.
That's it. Game over. Oh. Oh, my. 2 down for Jason Kipnis, who takes a called strike. One ball, one strike. Kipnis breaks his bat and grounds to first. Hosmer will throw it to Shields. It's off of his glove. And Kipnis is aboard to keep the inning alive.
I mean, right there, nothing that Hosmer could do. It looked like he gave a good feed, unless he just did. I mean, I don't think Shields picked it up. It's got to go on James Shields. It was an easy play. One hopper broke the bat of Kipnis. And the flip over there, let's see. Shields. Routine. Maybe he put his glove up and he didn't see the ball. Maybe it blocked the ball coming out, but he had the base. He just forgot to catch the ball. So an error on Shields extends the inning.
Man, it gives Carlos Santana a chance. Popped up his first time to the plate. Low and away, ball 1. Throws it away.
Make it 2 errors in an inning.
Shields with his second error of the inning. Kipnis now in a scoring position.
Well, he set up an inning here. If they can get a 2-out base hit, trying to pick Kipnis off. And throws wide at first base. This one not really close, because you can see Hosmer, nothing he could do. He couldn't move his feet, because in comes Kipnis back to the bag. So a pair of errors.
Down and in, 2 balls, no strikes.
Remember, Santana in his last at-bat when he had guys on second and third had a 3-1, and he continued to throw him a steady diet of changeups, and he popped up to the infield, and looks like he's staying with that changeup.
Two-zero pitch. He was swinging for the downs right there.
And, yeah, he knows he's looking for that heater. He hasn't gotten one yet. I think if he throws him a fastball, it'll just be a show pitch. I don't think he's going to throw him one for a strike. And the changeup, you can see where it goes straight down. It's a good, effective pitch.
Three balls and a strike. James Shields, with the 2 errors in the inning, has doubled the number of errors he has committed on the season coming into today's game. The 3-1. Chop to first. Hosmer backs up. He flips it this time. Shields makes sure he secures the ball. The inning is over, and after 3, it's 3-2 Kansas City. (3-2) Kansas City on top as we go to the 4th inning. Justin Maxwell, Lorenzo Cain, and Jamie Carroll due up for the Royals. Looks like Grandpa's digging into his wallet again. Kazmir will be facing Justin Maxwell, who singled in the 1st inning. Maxwell wound up stranded at 3rd. Maxwell is swinging a miss.
Well, I'll tell you, through the first 3 innings, the Royals very aggressive today, more so than the first 2 games. They've swung at 30 pitches from Kazmir, more than half of his pitches. Last night, through the first 3, they only swung at 13.
Hammered foul.
On Monday, it was 16. So they have a different approach against the left-hander, knowing or at least figuring he's going to start him out fastball early. But I'll tell you what, after that first inning, they woke him up quickly, and he's been pitching.
A little bit outside, 1-2. Tapped it foul. What is it about Maxwell? He's able to foul off a lot of pitches here already today against Scott Kazmir. I think he had him down on the count first time, and he kept battling away.
Yes, he did. He was down 0-2, and then he did fall off a lot. Worked to about, I think, a 9-pitch at bat.
Threw it by him that time. Third strikeout for Kazmir, 1 down in the 4th. Let's go downstairs and check in once again with Katie Witham.
Matt, the Indians are remembering 9/11 today. You'll notice on the side of all of the players' hats a special patch in honor of 9/11. If you want to pick up a hat yourself, the Indians are now selling this commemorative cap for the rest of the season in the team shop. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Katie. Lorenzo Cain looks at a high fastball. Ripped into left field, a base hit for Lorenzo Cain, and he's 2 for 2. Today's injury report brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Atlanta's Justin Upton listed as day-to-day with some right knee issues, and Ike Davis done for the year with the Mets. He did not play in that series here in Cleveland. Jamie Carroll takes a strike. Hearing Katie's report made me think, a dozen years ago today, the roles of these two teams were reversed. It was the Indians who were in Kansas City.
Right.
On September the 11th, 2001.
We ended up bussing back from Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, a couple of days later?
Yeah, that was Tuesday. The games were canceled. Was it Wednesday night, I think we came back?
Yeah.
Throw to first. Cain is back. The 1-1 runner goes, and a hit to third. Chisnall looks to second. Takes the out at first, 2 down. And it will bring up Alcides Escobar. I think the thing that I'll always remember about that day, outside of the things that most of us all share in our remembrances, the television coverage,
right,
being glued to it, being somewhat walking around in a stupor trying to figure out, is this actually happening? It was almost beyond comprehension what we were witnessing.
Yeah, it was like a movie you were watching.
But because we were away from our families, away from our homes, we were in a hotel. I remember walking around the Kansas City Plaza area late in the afternoon, maybe early evening, just trying to get away from it for a little bit. But even as far removed as we were in Kansas City, just walking around, you realized things had changed. Every business was shut down. Every door was closed, gone for the day, sorry. There were no sounds.
Right.
There were no cars on the streets. There were obviously no air traffic. It was just such a surreal experience. Lorenzo Cain, the runner at second base with 2 down. Kazmir whirls and throws it away. But Cain could not advance. Bourne was quickly there to back it up, and Aviles awkwardly fell on top of Cain.
He almost had the pin right there, but he got up. He got the shoulder up before he could get the number 3 count down. You watch as they spin. The throw is nowhere near Aviles, but he's going to lay on top of Cain for a second and not let him get up. No, not as bad as I thought. He ended up rolling off. Kane couldn't get back up, and Bourne backing up.
Up and away, 1 ball, 1 strike. Good block by Gomes. Kept it close enough to where Kane could not advance. Kane and Jason Kipnis share a laugh. Kane missed a lot of time with that oblique injury. So you wonder, I suppose when you've got an oblique injury, you're still able to maintain your cardio. But when you miss that much time, it's a whole different deal when you're out there and you got to go 0 to 60 and go full blast. 2-1 delivery. Fouled back again by Escobar.
It's always in the back of your mind because you've done it once and you're saying, I don't want that to happen again. So you know sometimes I think you could do it, go at it a little defensively. Just wonder why there's so many oblique injuries now in baseball. I mean, that's one injury that never used to be around.
Time was called before Kazmir delivered the pitch.
Well, and he got called for it, too. He got timeout.
I don't know how many players that you and I have encountered in the last several years that are from your era or even prior to it, and not one of them has said, I'd never heard of an oblique until this injury started popping up in the last couple of years.
Right. Back in the day, it was a broken rib. I don't remember any obliques.
2-2. Slowly chopped towards third. Chisenhall on the move. Gloves throws. Pulled him off. And that's going to keep the inning alive. More pitches for Kazmir. He slaps the ball out of the air coming back from Santana. Clearly upset.
Yeah, he thought he made a good pitch, which he did. But when you watch this, Chisenhall playing back, he comes in and he doesn't make a good throw. That's a little offline on the run. And
I didn't think it was that bad of a throw. I'm not sure why Santana didn't stretch
I don't know
there.
if it was up towards the base runner. No, he wasn't even near the base. But it did look like it was a little offline. Well, weird play. It extends the inning. It goes as a single. Now it brings the top of the lineup back into play. I'm not so sure Santana at first base over there was even in position.
Well, swing and a miss by Gordon. It certainly didn't. I mean, it's one thing if the throw's off the line, you've got to get off the bag. You can't let the ball get by you.
Right.
But the throw looked like it was close enough to where he could have stretched, unless from our angle it was higher than what we could tell, and he had to come off because of that. I don't know.
It looked like he was off before the throw was even in play.
It sure did. The 0-1.
Well, let's take another look at it. There's the throw by Chisenhall. It's a little wide, but I don't know. He just looked awkward over there.
I don't know if he was ever on the base.
He was awkward.
Can't tell
he
from
was
that
coming
angle.
off the base to begin with. Maybe. Now, I'm just taking a guess here. He figured that he was going to be safe anyway, and he just came off the base. Don't know.
Gordon, a swing and a miss. A ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Way to come back.
Casimir takes care of it himself, striking out Gordon to end the inning. The Royals strand a pair. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, why the fan apathy during the playoff chase? Get the details on Josh Gordon and Greg Little in court, and what are Braxton Miller's chances to start? Get complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. Michael Brantley, a 2-run single with 2 outs in the first inning to get the Indians on the board here today. Ball 1 to Brantley. Well, the Royals have done a tremendous job as a pitching staff so far in this series of making the Indians earn their way on base. They have not walked a batter in this series.
Well, for me, that's a big key to the Indians' offense, is drawing the walk.
Weak bouncer, 1 away. Going to bring up Yan Gomes, who flied to right his first time up.
You know, if you don't give them any extra base runners, and a lot of teams are like that. If you don't give them any extra base runners, you got to hit your way on. You know, they came in the first game, they had 5 hits, and 3 of them left the ballpark. They scored more runs with 5 hits than they did yesterday when they had 12 hits, and they scored 3 runs. You know, because they had primarily singles. They had 2 doubles, and other than that, the rest singles.
Well, Mike Aviles reached in the first inning when he was hit by a pitch and came around to score.
Right.
So, to your point, the Indians, they tend to take advantage of those extra base runners when they get those chances. Gomes pops one up, right field, Maxwell. 2 down.
Well, a week from Friday, the Indians will start their last homestand of the year, and it'll be kicked off with the Houston Astros coming to town. And on Friday night, the very first game of that series, it'll be Dollar Dog Night. Come on out. 12-ounce beer is only $4 as well. Log on to Indians.com for your tickets.
Up comes Jason Kubel. Struck out his first time up. He's 0 for 5 in the series. He's gone 3 for 15 since coming to the Indians. Couple of singles and a double. He's drawn 4 walks. He has struck out 9 times. Struck out in the first time up back in the second inning, and now he's 0-2. The team the Indians are chasing in the wild card race, the Tampa Bay Rays. They're at home later tonight against Boston. One, two. Lined up the middle and a diving catch made by Jamie Carroll with the shift on, and the Indians go 1-2-3. 3-2 Kansas City after 4. Baseball is brought to you by the wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Another warm day here at the ballpark. The Royals lead at 3-2 as we go to the 5th inning. All 5 runs scored today came in the first. Scott Kazmir had a rough start. First 3 all reached for Kansas City, a homer, a triple, and then a single. And then after he recorded 2 outs, 2 more base hits to make it 3-0. Since then, he has allowed just a couple of hits and an infield hit at that in the 4th inning. Bullpen up and getting loose, though, as he's closing in on 80 pitches here to start the 5th inning. Outside 2-0.
Kazmir now at the 80 pitch mark. And you see Brian Shaw up there getting loose. This will be the 3rd time through for Kazmir.
Bonifacio taking a strike. Throw it by him. 2-2. down the line, slicing. That is going to go out of play. Back out of play.
They've fouled off a lot of two-strike balls with Kazmir trying to put them away. That's 12 times today that they've been able, with 2 strikes, to foul off a pitch and make them work that much harder.
The 3-2 again. Line to center, a base hit. Bonifacio aboard to start the 5th for KC. Our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Alex Gordon started the game on the first pitch with a home run. And then after Bonifacio tripled and Hosmer singled in a run, it was suddenly 3-0 Kansas City. And then Michael Brantley got the Indians on the board with a 2-out, 2-run single in the first. And that has been it to this point. Snap throw, throws it away.
Oh, man. Hard to understand sometimes. If you're going to throw over there. Don't give them an extra base.
It's the 18th error by an Indians pitcher this year.
You've got a guy over there that's not a normal first baseman to begin with. I mean, you can't make it outside his area. So it'll go as an error. They give up an extra base.
Hosmer came out of his shoes swinging there. It's 0-1. Base hit left field. Brantley comes up with it. Bonifacio stops at third base. First and third, nobody out.
Well, I always told you Hosmer likes that pitch up for a left-hander, and he got himself a high fastball and just went with it and smokes it the other way. They wanted it down and away. It's up. Number high, and that's going to do it for Kazmir. He's going to be done today.
4 innings plus 2 batters. He leaves down 3-2, having allowed 9 hits on the day. Brian Shaw will be the new Indians pitcher. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen when we come back.
Well, for you folks that want to break up a little bit of the winter come February, maybe March, come on out to spring training out in sunny Arizona. Check out the Indians in spring training. They have 3 spring training travel plans for a one-of-a-kind experience. Plan your trip today. You can call 1-855-298-5444.
Brian Shaw's 61st appearance of the year, 3-3 at 3.90 earned run average. Royals at the corners. They lead at 3-2. Nobody out on the 5th. Billy Butler, the batter. Struck out both times against Scott Kazmir, but Terry Francona felt Kazmir was out of gas, so he goes to Shaw. Chop to third. Chisenhall will go to second. There's one. On to first. Double play. 2 down. Royals get another run. They lead it now 4-2. That'll close the books on Kazmir. And the pitch in there for a strike. I'm thinking technically the book might still be open on Kazmir. Swing and a miss. Because for the moment, 4 runs allowed, but that last run is an unearned run unless Perez gets a hit here. Then it might become an earned run. Not sure the official scoring rules. It won't matter. It's an unearned run. But it's a run on the board for Kansas City nonetheless. They lead it 4-2, middle of the 5th. All bets are off with Bruce Drennan. Hits the air right after Indians Live. Bruce will talk with Ryan Cavanaugh, talking high school football. Fred Greetham on the Browns, preparations for the Ravens. All bets are off this afternoon right here on Sports Time Ohio. Drive down a couple now as Lonnie Chisenhall leads it off. A lot of first pitch strikes today from James Shields. And he's quickly had 0-2. He had his troubles in the first inning, but since then he has calmed down. He hasn't given up a hit since the first. The only runner to reach was by his own hand when he dropped the ball at first base, covering the bag on the base, the ball that Kipnis hit. Chisenhall gone on 3 pitches, 1 down here in the 5th, 3rd strikeout for Shields. Let's go downstairs once again, see what Katie Witham has for us.
Well, Matt, the Indians are making a push for the postseason, and you can guarantee yourself playoff ticket priority by putting a deposit down on 2014 season tickets. Now, season ticket holders get discounts off single game prices, and they can take advantage of Tribe Rewards. If you're thinking about doing it, log on to Indians.com right now and get all the information. Matt, back to you.
Thanks, Katie. Here is Drew Stubbs. Grounded out his first time up. Swing and a miss. Quickly, the count is 0-2. James Shields grew up with a couple of older brothers who beat up on him pretty good. They taught him how to be competitive. They didn't let him take it easy, but he says it was all part of his learning process as a youngster. And then when he became a professional baseball player and got to the big leagues, he had a cousin who was already in the big leagues who sort of paved the way a little bit, Aaron Rowan.
Okay. Good center fielder.
And it was actually Rowan who took Shields aside early in his career and kind of took him to task, called him out and said, "You're not working hard enough. You're not putting the time in that you need to play at this level. This is the best of the best. This is the big league, son." And
nothing comes easy.
Shields really took it to heart, and he said he is so thankful that he had somebody like Aaron Rowan, a cousin, a family member, somebody you know you can trust who's going to set you straight. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
They're going to tell you what you need to hear. And he said that made a huge difference early in his career.
Well, whoever you hear it from, he was fortunate enough to get it from a relative. If you don't have a relative in the game, someone's going to eventually teach you. And hopefully the light goes off.
4th strikeout for Shields. He's punched out back-to-back hitters here in the 5th inning.
And he's been pounding the strike zone. 13 of his last 16 pitches have been strikes.
Ned Yost, who was in Atlanta and watched Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux work their magic for all those years, he said Shields is a little bit like them in a wait, did Bourne go hopping out of there in a hurry? Just hit it off his shin. I think he'll need a little time to
shin or the toe.
Get the feeling back in there.
It was the toe.
Ed Yost said Glavine and Maddux would take pitchers, young pitchers aside. Glavine would take the lefties, Maddux would take the righties. They'd go and do the video work with him, talk to him that way, sit down one-on-one. Ned says James Shields is way more outgoing than those two. He said he's always talking to somebody on the team. You know, he'll go to different groups, but he's not just with the pitchers. He's talking to everybody.
Right.
During spring training, he and Jeremy Guthrie did something I thought was pretty funny. 0-1 pitch. Hit in the air, left field, drives Gordon back, but he'll make the catch. We'll continue that when we come back. Through 5, it's 3-2, or 4-2, Kansas City. Jim Donovan, Doug Deacon, and Tony Grossi bring you all the latest news from Berea and look ahead to the team's first road game in Baltimore on Sunday Strategy, tonight at 10 on Sports Time Ohio. Now, the way James Shields is mowing them down, the Indians going to need some pretty good work out of that bullpen. Ryan Shaw came on, got a double play ball and a strikeout to end the 5th inning. He's got Justin Maxwell, Lorenzo Cain, and Jamie Carroll due up here in the 6th.
Brian Shaw came on and got a big double play ball with runners on 1st and 3rd to pretty much slow that inning down, diffuse it.
Maxwell swings and misses. 0-2 the count. Just a bit outside. Up and away again, 2-2. Ripped foul. Count stays 2-2. Rich Hill is now getting up in the try pen. Got him to chase one in the dirt. Maxwell won't bother running to first. He'll be tagged out. One down here in the 6th. Let's get the answer to the AT&T trivia question. 4 players have had a hitting streak of 40 or more games. I'm thinking Ty Cobb, DiMaggio, Pete Rose.
Cobb was before the, since 01. I got you.
George Sisler, St. Louis, right? St. Louis Browns, yeah. Yeah, he's an Ohio guy. Manchester, Ohio, George Sisler. Justin Maxwell chased one in the dirt. Lorenzo Cain has just been pounding everything he's seen today. Found that one back 0-2. He's 2 for 2. Couple of singles and RBI. I was originally thinking of your guy, Paul Mahler, but he was a game shy.
39.
Couldn't remember how many he had exactly. It was 39. The 0-2 pitch. Swung out and missed. Shaw strikes him out. He's fanned 3 in a row, and boy, does he look sharp today. Are you still getting blamed for ending Molitor's hitting streak?
No, maybe by Murph and by these guys, Schnacky in there, yeah. There's a nice breaking ball. He's had a good cutter, nice breaking ball today. All he has done since he's been in here is get a double play and 3 straight strikeouts. How about that?
Jamie Carroll steps in 0 for 2. punches it into the glove of Santana, and the inning is over. So Brian Shaw with an inning of 2 innings of scoreless perfect relief. 4-2 Royals. Kelly McLean from Fox Sports Ohio, checking out the action here this afternoon. Boy, she's serious, intense, huh?
Well, she's waiting for this offense to score a couple of runs.
Now James Shields has had his
2
foot
hits,
down on him.
both coming in the first inning. Other than that, he has shut him down. Other than his own error to allow them a base runner. Other than that, it's been quiet.
Mike Aviles hit by pitch and scored in the first, fly to center in the third. Called strike on the outside corner, and it's quickly 0-2. Hit off the end of the bat, and it stays in foul ground.
You're going after a new piece of lumber, I see.
You know, sometimes you get it right off the end there. I'm not sure if he had the cupped end. Yep.
I'll be getting a different colored bat as well. James Shields today, 72% strikes.
Inside, he missed 2-2. Shields drilled Aviles with a pitch in the first inning, and that led to a run. And now Aviles socks one into center field, and it hangs up, and Kane is able to make the catch. 1 down.
Well, he's a good defensive center fielder, and that ball stayed up for him. He got a good jump on him. But that thing, I think, stayed up longer than he thought it was. He thought he was going to have to dive at it if you watch him on that attempt. And Aviles hit a good pitch. See, he's tracking, thinking he's going to dive. He caught that head high.
Yeah.
But he was thinking he was going to have to lay out for it, and it got down, but it stayed up.
Jason Kipnis 0 for 2. Takes a strike. Now he'll going to test Kane. A little easier play that time. 2 away. James Shields has only struck out 4 batters on the day, but there's a good changeup to Kubel.
Fastball.
Throws him.
Might have been a cutter, if not a changeup. And that's the cutter. 4 strikeouts, but he hasn't walked anybody. He's been pounding the strike zone, as we said, just 2 hits allowed.
Yeah, 17 out of 21 first pitch, so he gets ahead, and he stays ahead. Down in the dirt to Carlos Santana, who's 0 for 2.
He's been behind Santana every time up. Of anybody, he's thrown probably the most pitches. Santana's had 2-3-1 counts in this game to hit, and he has gone after changeups both times.
Again, he's 2-0.
He shows him the fastball. Attacks him. That was a cutter there, a cut fastball. But I'm guessing after the way the first 2 at-bats went, it's going to be a changeup here. And it was. That one he left up. Santana lost his toe hold. Almost fell down.
Takes, it's 3-1.
Third straight at bat. 3-1 counts.
Ball 4, he walked him. So the inning stays alive with 2 down. And it's going to bring up Michael Brantley. It'll give me a chance to finish that story I was starting to tell the last time Shields was out there. So Ned Yost was saying he's a really outgoing guy. He engages all of his teammates. So during spring training, he and Jeremy Guthrie decide they're going to go out and put on the parking guys, the orange fluorescent vest,
right,
and look like they're parking lot attendants. And they waved all the minor league players to their parking spaces when they came into the complex. So he said we kind of did it as a gag. It was something fun to do for Shields and Guthrie. But he said it also gave us a chance to meet all the minor league kids and, just introduce ourselves and get to know them.
And they made sure they pushed them to the back lot, right?
He said they made sure they didn't park in any of the veterans' parking spaces too. There was a dual thought, an ulterior motive, right?
Sure there was. A veteran saying, all right, boys, you keep going. His first year coming over there, from Tampa. You guys keep going to the back lot. Save this for the big leaguers.
And there's Guthrie, and the 2 of them mentioned it last night. They've brought a great stabilizing influence to the rotation along with Irvin Santana. The 0-1. Brantley taps it again weakly to second base, and Shields cruises through the 8th inning, or through the 6th inning. 4-2, Kansas City. By Panini's with 18 locations in Northeast Ohio. And by Levin. Get a look in at Progressive Field from our Panini Cam, brought to you by Panini's Bar and Grill. 7th inning, 4-2, Kansas City. Indians got 2 in the first. They haven't scored since. The Royals got 3 in the first, adding an unearned run in the 5th. Alcides Escobar, Alex Gordon, and Emilio Bonifacio due up here. Escobar will be facing Brian Shaw, who presumably will only face this one hitter in this inning after he's worked 2 perfect innings in relief thus far.
They have been almost perfect. He has been outstanding today.
Came into the game with runners at first and third in the 5th, got a double play ball, struck out Perez, then he struck out Maxwell and Kane. He got the line out by Carroll. Popped him up. Drew Stubbs makes the catch in right field. 1 down. Well, you're almost inclined to keep him in there the way he's mowing him down.
I know, but job well done. Job well done.
Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. Rich Hill coming on when we come back. Get all the inside information on your team on Browns Insider with Rob Chudzinski, the head coach. It's tomorrow night after Indians Live on the cable home of the Browns, Sports Time, Ohio. Left-hander Rich Hill into the ball game now. He'll be facing the left-handed hitting Alex Gordon. Hill is making his 59th appearance, a win, 2 losses, an ERA of 6.32. Gordon homered in the first, lined out in the second, struck out in the 4th. Two balls, no strikes. And now it's 3-0. Gordon wasn't going to spot him a strike. He was waiting to swing.
I mean, why should you? You're coming out there. That lefty's out there. You figure 3-0. He's going to throw me a fastball. He's not going to mess around, so get after it. Don't spot him anything. Rich Hill's fault for falling behind 3-0.
A walk to Gordon. And we'll go downstairs once again to Katie Witham.
Hey, Matt, the next Sugardale Dollar Dog Night is September 20th. The Houston Astros will be in town. $1 hot dogs all night long and 12-ounce beers just $4. Log on to Indians.com and get your tickets now. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Katie. Here's Emilio Bonifacio. 2 hits on the day. A triple, a single, 2 runs scored. Runner goes, and a ball scorched right up the middle. Gordon on his way to third, and now Royals at the corners with only 1 out.
Well, they wasted no time. They're being aggressive. They had the 2-run lead, and we said they're going to remain aggressive. With the left-hander, they're going to hit and run. They don't try and straight steal. But with Gordon on there, they take off. Bonifacio does a nice job of putting the ball on the ground or toward it, gets him to third base. First and third, 1 out. Now an opportunity to add on.
Well, the Royals have now out-hit the Indians today 10-2. So the Indians, I guess, have to feel fortunate that they're even still in this game.
Yeah, half of those hits coming in the first for Kansas City, 5 of them. But then again, the Indians' 2 hits came in the first.
Threw it away. Unbelievable.
Well, gift wrap an inning for him.
Boy, oh boy, how many in the last 2 games now?
Well, we've had 3 in the last couple games from your pitchers. And that's 2 today. Casimir threw 1 away. Now Rich Hill, you want to mess around because of their running game, but you know what? It makes no sense unless you're going to just throw it over there. Why? Why set up an inning for him? So the leadoff walk when Hill has come on, then the single, now an error. It's a 5-2 game, and they move another guy into scoring position. And this will be his last hitter.
Well, that's not going to do anything to endear himself to this crowd. Eric Hosmer already has 2 hits today with an RBI and a run scored. In the air to center field, Bourne got turned around. Backpedaling, makes the catch. Bonifacio will tag. He'll go to third. 2 away. Going to bring up Billy Butler. Butler slowly walking to home plate. He's expecting to see Terry Francona, and here he comes.
You're absolutely right. He's going to see him.
Make another pitching change. So a timeout with a run in, a man on, and 2 out here in the 7th. 5-2 Kansas City. Inning. Royals have a run in and a man at third with 2 down, and the new pitcher is Matt Albers. Albers' 49th appearance of the year, 3-1, a 3.32 ERA.
Well, Rich Hill today, no relief for Terry Francona. 1/3 of an inning, gave up a hit and a walk, and on 1 run here, but another run at third base. That right now, Albers hopefully can get this out here and don't let that one score. Keep it a 5-2 game.
Albers delivers. Butler takes outside, ball 1. Butler has struck out twice and bounced into a double play. Bounce towards third. Chisenhall throws him out. The inning is over, but the Royals get another run. And their lead is now 5-2 as we have reached the 7th inning stretch. Kansas City looking to close the gap a little more on the Indians here this afternoon. And they're in pretty good shape with a 3-run lead. Getting ready now for the bottom half of the 7th inning. On this, the 11th day in the month of September, we pause now for the playing of God Bless America. And it is time now for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. 5-2. Kansas City leads it now as we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Mike Moustakas takes over at third base for Jamie Carroll. Gerard Dyson is now in at center. And Lorenzo Cain moves from center to right. Yan Gomes leading off for the Tribe. He's 0 for 2 today, and James Shields delivers a fastball for strike one, or might have been an off-speed pitch. Gomes has flied to right twice today. There's a curveball that missed badly, 1-1. Well, the Indians are going to have to figure out a way to do some damage against James Shields, not only today, but I figure they'll see him again when we're in Kansas City in this upcoming series at Kauffman Stadium.
Well, they're off tomorrow. Yeah, so I think you're right. They're off tomorrow, I think, over in before they play Detroit on the weekend.
3-1 pitch. Popped back out of play. Yeah, if they keep him on his regular rest, he'd face him in the series opener. If they give him an extra day, he'll face him in the middle game of that 3-game series in Kansas City.
This is his first full count today.
It's popped up, and it might stay in play. No, just out of the reach of Salvador Perez. Gomes hanging in there. Count stays 3-2. Again, the 3-2. Popped up out of play again. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat for Yan Gomes, leading off the 7th inning. And he strikes him out. That's 5 Ks for James Shields, 1 down here in the 7th inning. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. On this date in 1985, Pete Rose became the all-time hit king in baseball, passing his idol, Ty Cobb, or his dad's idol, Ty Cobb, and taking the all-time top spot. Fouled right back. Jason Kubel is 0 for 2 today, 0 for 6 in the series, and now 3 for 16 as an Indian. Oh and 2. want the high fastball. They get the high fastball, and they get another strikeout. 2 down. Let's go back to the Hyundai Studios right now for an in-game update with Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, let's go to Cincinnati, where the Reds are trying to avoid a sweep of the Chicago Cubs. So far, so good. They lead it 3-0. Here, Devin Mesorasko with his 9th home run of the season in the 4th inning have given the Reds that 3-0 margin. They're now in the 5th in the Queen City. Matt?
Well, as frustrating as things have been today and going back to last night for the Indians, imagine the Reds' frustrations. Losing the first 2 in that series to the lowly Chicago Cubs.
In your division, anything can happen.
You're right.
Anything can happen in that division. They don't care. They're coming off a big series where they were playing well against St. Louis, and you just never know.
Weak bouncer to second base. And James Shields just continues to carve him up. We'll go to the 8th. 5-2 KC. And descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. (5-2) Kansas City as we go to the 8th inning. And Matt Albers, who got the final out of the 7th, will stay on to pitch the 8th. He's got Salvador Perez, Justin Maxwell, and Lorenzo Cain. Actually, it'll be Gerard Dyson batting in the Maxwell spot. Perez 0 for 3, struck out his last time up. That's in the gap, left center field. Bourne on the run, dives and makes the catch. Nice hustling effort by Michael Bourne to take extra bases away from Salvador Perez. Replace your divots.
Well, you're looking up into the sun, and that ball's in the gap, and a long run. He has to make a dive for it. A nice catch by Michael Bourne. Takes a hit away from Perez.
Gerard Dyson getting his first at bat here today. Slow chopper to first. Santana will take it himself. 2 down. In-game box score courtesy of your local Hyundai dealers. Alex Gordon started the game with a home run. Bonifacio followed with a triple. Eric Hosmer drove him in with a single. That was the first 3 batters of the game. Royals jumped out to the 3-0 lead. They added an unearned run in the 5th. Another run scored in the 7th by benefit of the error. Both errors today by Indians pitchers. Down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lorenzo Cain, couple of hits, an RBI, and a strikeout. Foul ball over towards third. Eddie Rodriguez will flip a souvenir to a fan. Out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 down here in the 8th inning.
I won't have a car. My car's shipped out. I won't have any way to get down there.
Alvarez delivers in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Smashed foul. Alvarez takes a long look in. Cain awaiting a 2-2 pitch. And now full count. Indians are off to Chicago, a 4-game series with the White Sox. Tomorrow night, Friday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon. (3-2). 2-out walk keeps the inning alive. And Mike Moustakas will get his first at bat of the game. The executive producer for Sports Time Ohio is Tom Farmer. Coordinating producer for Indians baseball, Steve Warren. Today's game produced by Jim Murphy, directed by Pat Murray. Indians Live produced by Mike Bachman. Associate producers Mike Pachta and Steve Bardo. Technical director Dan Larson. Our creative consultant is Mark Koha. Many thanks, as always, to our hard-working crew and staff here at the ballpark. So many talented camera operators: Brian McDermott, Kerry Kems, Joe Gamalo, Jimmy Orak, Chris Madden, Mark Shapiro, John Gorsica, Gene Anderson, Mitch Hayden, Igor Klobos, Frank Schubert. We thank them all for their work all season long as Kane strolls down to second base with his 14th steal of the year. Hit in the air to right field. Stubbs on the move over near the line. He lost it in the sun, and it drops in foul territory.
Well, let me see. Does he have any glasses on?
He was looking up into it. He was shading his eyes with his glove.
You know what? He's running the ball into the sun. He's shading it with his glove, and he lost it. It never came out, and he does have glasses on that are already down. But you're running it into the sun, and it goes as a foul ball. There's the glasses. They don't work looking up into this sun today.
Moustakas a swing and a miss. It's 1-2. One-two pitch. Fisted foul back out of play.
Good pitch. Really good pitch right there. Able to foul it off, but he went in there deep at 95, mind you.
Pops it out of play.
You know, the top three guys, Gordon has scored 2 runs, Bonifacio has scored 2, and Hosmer scored the other one out of their 5. So the top 3 guys have pretty much done it.
That's it.
And it came right out of the chute today against Scott Kazmir, where they jumped him early.
Wow. What was wrong with that? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Alvers delivers. Moustakas fouls it out of play. Right back up the middle, and it's through. Kane will score. 6-2 Royals. Kansas City has just continued to add on. A run on the 5th, one on the 7th, one more here in the 8th.
Well, and you get an extra out there because of the fly ball that was lost in the sunshine. Ball that stayed in play probably should have been caught. You get the extra out, you add the extra run, and it was a 2-out walk, stolen base, and now a single. 11 hits for Kansas City.
And Alcides Escobar, 1 for 3 on the day, steps in. And he takes a strike. Right field, Stubbs. No problem with this one. The inning is over, but the Royals add another run. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 6-2 Kansas City. Six-2 Kansas City as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care coming up next. Drew Stubbs, Michael Bourne, Mike Aviles for the Tribe here in the 8th. James Shields has made 90 pitches. More than 70% have been for strikes. 21 out of 26 first pitch strikes on the day. He's retired 19 of the last 21 he has faced. The Indians do not have a hit since the first inning.
Yeah, that's amazing. And he's dominated the bottom part of the lineup. Well, he's really dominated everybody when you look at it today. But the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters, 0 for 11. 42 pitches.
One and one the count. It's low, 2 balls and a strike. Drew lays off. It's down low, 3 balls and a strike. Full count. Strikes him out. 7 Ks for Shields, 1 down in the 8th.
Well, James Shields, he gave up the 2-out base hit to Michael Brantley where they were able to come around and score 2 runs and answer that 3-run first inning. But since that point, he has just settled into throwing nothing but strikes, mixing it up with the changeup, the fastball, the cutter, and he has been in total control. 7 strikeouts on the day. He has walked 1, but is still not allowed a hit since the first inning.
In fact, the last hit he gave up was the 2-run single that Michael Brantley delivered in the first inning. Bourne wraps it towards second base. Bonifacio throws him out, 2 away. James Shields about to make his 100th pitch of the afternoon. We talked about it from the get-go. He leads the league in innings pitched. This is now his 7th straight season of 200 innings or more. And you're seeing exactly why. He's efficient, he's effective.
But also the league leader in road ERA. 8-3 coming into today. He's looking for his 9th win on the road.
Yeah, that ERA was 2.11 coming in, and the Indians had 2 in the first, and you were thinking, well, they're going to run that up a little bit today.
Well, you thought.
Maybe not.
Yeah, you thought so, but no siree. He has 2 wins at home.
That's hard to believe.
This will be his 9th win if
a
they
good
hold on.
pitcher's park like Kansas City.
Right. Of all places, that is a good ballpark to pitch in. But I'll tell you, for whatever reason, he thrives away from the K up there. We'll be seeing him, I'm sure, when we get up there next week. We got a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series.
Yeah.
All night games.
Broke his bat.
Oh,
Shields,
my goodness. Between
his legs makes the play. That's one you just tip your cap. Heck of a play by Shields. Heck of a game he has pitched here today. (6-2) Kansas City in front. Going to the 9th inning. Another look from behind the plate.
How about between the legs here? You follow through. And, look at his follow through. He just stops and puts his glove down there. It misses his legs. It's your day, James Shields. Nice pick. How about that?
Clay Rapata coming on for the Indians now. Left-hander will pitch the 9th inning. Top of the order due for KC. Alex Gordon. Swing and a miss by Gordon. And a count 0-2. Out of play. Now Kansas City, chance to leave town feeling very good about themselves in terms of winning this series. A foul ball. Look out. I was going to look at where the Royals are going next, but they.
The Royals go to Kansas City. To Detroit. They have an off day tomorrow in Detroit.
The notes
will play the Tigers.
They cut off the notes. The score or the schedule
right.
for Kansas City.
I looked for that earlier.
Came up empty.
Looked for that earlier, and they have an off day.
That's the second version of the notes. The first version didn't have the pitchers' numbers in it.
It's an off day tomorrow. They've been, like I said, 44 games in the last 44 days.
Oh, yeah. They're going to enjoy that.
So the boys, even writing the notes out, are going to take a little day off.
Michael Bourne will make the catch, one away. Taking a look at our keys to the game from earlier. Brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Scott Kazmir had a rough start, but he settled down for the most part. He just used up a lot of pitches in that first inning and was out in the 5th. And the Indians, no success against Shields after that first inning. Pitch inside. So, yeah, for Kansas City, so they've got, after the off day tomorrow, they go to Detroit for 3. They were just home against Detroit, so they go to Detroit. Yep. Then they welcome the Indians to Kauffman. And the Rangers follow the Indians in there. Deep right field, Stubbs races back. He'll make the catch. Then they've got Seattle and Chicago to finish. So they've got some tough games. This really started with that series against Detroit.
Yeah, they're
15 straight against the Tigers, Indians, and Rangers. That's a pretty
for them to get back into it. You're right. They had to go out. They have to win.
But they won 2 out of 3 from Detroit. They're on the verge of taking 2 out of 3 from Cleveland. So they've played themselves right back into it. Whether or not they can maintain it remains to be seen. Hosmer, a bouncer towards second. Big hop. Kipnis has to wait for Santana to get back to the bag. He does, and the inning is over. Bottom of the 9th coming up. 6-2 Kansas City. We invite you to stay tuned after the ball game for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. We go to the bottom of the ninth, and James Shields is staying on, looking for the complete game victory, going for his third. That would tie him with Justin Masterson for second most in the American League. He has 21 career complete game efforts. Jason Kipnis takes up high, ball one. Kipnis today 0 for 3, reached on an error back in the third. Fouls this back out of play. Base hit to right field. And Lorenzo Cain returns it to the infield as Kipnis is aboard to start the bottom of the ninth. That'll bring up Carlos Santana. Santana 0 for 2 with a walk. Fouled right back out of play. Shields looks over to first, where Kipnis takes his lead. Santana can't believe his eyes. It's a called strike, and it's 0-2. Muscles it into left field, a base hit for Santana. So how do you like that? The Indians didn't have a hit since the first inning, and now they've got back-to-back singles to open the bottom of the ninth.
Well, an 0-2 pitch, and Santana just flares this one over to left field. And drops it in. Out comes Ned Yost. I guess now Shields' day is done. He's going to go to his bullpen, but they start off with a couple of singles here in the ninth. Still some fight left.
Ned Yost makes the signal. James Shields will depart. 6-2 Kansas City here in the ninth. Nobody out, bottom of the ninth. Greg Holland now on for the Royals, 61st appearance of the year. He's 41 out of 44 in save situations, and it's ball one to Michael Brantley. Takes a strike on the off-speed pitch. James Shields giving up back-to-back singles here in the ninth. He's out after 108 pitches. Brantley a chopper foul. And the count of ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2. Up and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Strikes him out, 1 away. That'll bring up Yan Gomes, 0 for 3 on the day.
Looks like a slider to me. There it goes straight down. He's got a nasty slider and also a splitter that he can throw that's a nasty pitch as well to go along with a high 90s fastball.
Yan Gomes steps in here 0 for 3, 2 for 10 in the series. As Dribble Cabrera has moved to the on-deck circle. Gomes looks at ball 1. Gomes flied to deep center field last night against Holen. Did he go? It doesn't matter. It's a called strike. And the count is 1-1. Outfield around toward right for Gomes, except for the left fielder Gordon, who stays pretty much straight away. Low and away with 2 balls and a strike. There you get a look at that huge gap in left center field. But Gomes is a guy who will try to drive it the other way. Two-one. Fouled right back. And he is mad because he had, even though it was 97 miles an hour, he felt like it was a pitch he could do some damage with.
Well, when you get that pitch you're looking for and you foul it off, that's the ones you really want. You know, and he did. He fouled it straight back, had a good swing at it, but just didn't square it up.
Runners go. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. Back-to-back Ks for Holland. 2 down in the inning. As Dribble Cabrera will bat for Jason Kubel. Cabrera 2 for 7 in the series. Trying to keep it alive here in the bottom of the ninth, and a swing and a miss. Bounced in front of the plate. Good block by Salvador Perez. Base hit here would certainly make it interesting.
Base hit would bring that tying run to the plate.
He takes, and it's a called strike. And now it's 1-2. Greg Holland looking for his 42nd save of the year. He deals almost to the backstop. Jason Kipnis started the inning off with a base hit. Santana followed with a single, but Brantley and Gomes both struck out against Holland, who came in relief of starter James Shields after he served up those first two singles to start the ninth. And the 2-2 to Cabrera. Strike three called. The game is over. How do you like that? Greg Holland comes out of the bullpen and strikes him out 1-2-3 to end the game. So the Royals come to Cleveland and they kick the Tribe in the teeth. They win 2 out of 3. Kansas City leaves town 77-69. The Indians are 77-68, so just a half game separate the two. Royals will be off tomorrow. The Indians have to get right back to work as they go to Chicago now to open up a 4-game series against the White Sox. James Shields, the winner, he's 11-9. The save to Holland, his 42nd. The loser, Scott Kazmir, he's 8-8 now on the season. Time for our key play of the game, brought to you by Key Bank.
Let's go all the way back to the first inning when they did some damage early, and then Kane just caps it off, driving in the third run of the inning. And they jumped out. They sucker punched Scott Kazmir and the Indians to a 3-0 lead, although they did bounce back. But that's our Key Bank key play of the game. Get a free Kindle Fire HD when you sign up for a new checking account. Some restrictions apply.
So the homestand ends with a thud as KC wins it 6-2. We're back to talk about it on Indians Live next.